Good evening. Long time no make videos. I actually have made a video going over my history with homelessness and my experiences, but that video kind of got messed up, so I'm just going to be doing this one now, and I'll probably get back to that later on. By the way, definitely want to thank you guys for coming back. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Definitely helps out and everything like that. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. I want to make these videos a little bit shorter. I don't like them, being an hour long and stuff like that. So, I think what I'm going to title this video is as alpha male and kind of the philosophy behind it, something along those lines, and kind of my take on what it is. And what inspired this is a post that I had made a few days ago, as you can see right here on the screen. Because so I'm inside of this Kevin Samuels inspired, Facebook group and stuff like that, and a lot of people seem to be using terms and making them synonymous with other terms, even though those terms aren't necessarily synonymous. They just kind of intertwine with one another. So I just wanted to make a video just kind of going over my take on how that stuff works. And go into it. This is really, I'm really probably mainly going to focus on the alpha male and beta male type of things, but I'll go over each one of them real quick and then just again kind of get into that. Anyway, though, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you see here, I made that post. I just said, some of you guys are using terms without really knowing what each of those terms mean. So I'll list 4 common terms that go through each, chime in, and then in another tab, I actually break it down. So as you can see, I've got alpha male here, high value man, but really high value, beta male, and then simp/simping. All right. So here I'm just gonna go over each definition real quick, and then I'll get more into depth into the alpha and the beta type of things. So I think that's really something that needs to be talked about more within the community and really understanding what that means. All right, so an alpha male, as I described it, is a person who takes charge, is in the lead, makes decisions, not afraid to fail. As KS, or Kevin Samuel, puts it, is confident, intelligent, and assertive. They also happen to they're also happening to life, not letting life happen to them. These people run towards the fight. All right. Now, high value, literally, it really should be kind of self-explanatory, but I put it here just to, I guess, lay it out for people who really don't get it. High value, just in the context of in the dating sphere and stuff like that, is a member, not in just the dating sphere, but in the socio-economical sphere. High value, a member that is of high status, that supports to society. Financial means in our current society weighs heavily in determining who is high value, because money determines what you can and cannot access. People who are in the top 50% of earners literally are making more than 85% of their peers. Thus, they have more influence. Thus, they are high value. It's simply a ranking in the top tier among your peers. Now, again, also high value also takes into account, and I think I just said it there, the importance. So let's say, hypothetically, the end of the world's happening and these rocket ships can only hold so many people. The people who are the scientists, the people who are the teachers, the really good teachers, the people who are that know the history and stuff like that, those are going to be high-ranking members and stuff like that. Those are going to be people that are going to be getting in those rocket ships and stuff like that. The reason I bring that up is because you could say a high-value person just on the surface level would be like an entertainer or somebody that's in football, stuff like that. And make no qualms about it, they are high value in the overall setting. But if you were to take them out of that and just put them into that category, then I think we would obviously understand why, like, a scientist and stuff like that would be a little bit higher value than the football player. Does that make sense? Okay. Again, but overall, it's just a ranking system. If you're here and the rest of the world is if you're here and the rest of the world is down there, that just makes you higher than the rest of the world, and so thus you have more influence over the rest of them. That's just pretty much all that means there. Alright, so beta, I just kind of say it's the opposite of an alpha. This is me. Again, I know everybody else got 30 different things on this, but anyway, it's the opposite of an alpha. They let life happen. No, I'm trying to keep names out of this. I'm sorry. It's the opposite of an alpha. They let life happen to them. They don't like making decisions. They do not like failure. They are not confident in themselves. They are not assertive, and these people tend to run away from the fight. And then simp, I just simply put it as a person that overvalues a person / group of people and puts that person / group of people on a pedestal in order to gain their attention / validation while simultaneously undermining themselves. Those are the definitions. And how I use them, and normally how the manosphere community and stuff like that are using these terms. I'm sorry, my camera's a little bit messed up there. I think the candle in the background is kind of throwing off the focus a little bit. Okay, so now I really want to focus on this right here, this alpha. I want to focus on this alpha thing, and I also want to focus on the beta thing, because I think these are two things that a lot of people will say, okay, when I say a lot of people, I'm going to say I've heard the notion that this alpha doesn't exist, like the idea behind an alpha doesn't exist, and I've also heard the idea behind like beta and stuff like that doesn't exist. And I'm going to just challenge that notion and say that it's definitely there. One set of group may not call it an alpha, but the idea of it is there. I also want to go into that the way that we view alpha and beta inside of a dating paradigm and inside of the confines of like the dating world is a little bit different than how we would view the alpha and the beta inside of the world of like just the general like office setting or football setting or something like that. So I want to separate them. So let's go inside the dating, into the dating world and stuff like that. When we're talking about an alpha and a beta, we're usually talking like that because normally inside of dating, especially in the West, but really everywhere, it's usually a man and a woman. Okay, so there's only two things that you can be. You can either be the alpha, the leader, the person that's making the decisions, or it can be the beta, the person that's typically following and stuff like that. And those are just simply the dynamics of a functioning, well-balanced relationship and stuff like that. They definitely do exist. When you are talking about, I'm trying to not necessarily be sensitive, but just be properly worded. Hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. Again, this is just a wing video. I'm just winging stuff right here. So when it comes to the alpha mentality and stuff like that, as I define here, it's a person who, again, they take charge. So inside of dynamics of the relationship, they're usually the person that's going to be making the decision, making the final decisions, making the planning, and really having a course of action and stuff like that, and making sure that course of action for the family and stuff like that stays on track. The beta person, isn't really doing that in the dynamics of a relationship. The purpose of a beta person is to be the support person to the alpha. It's not necessarily saying that it's a bad position. Normally, the reason why it's a bad position in the dynamics of relationships is because most women, where you really get down to what they want alphas. They want somebody to be leading and taking charge and stuff like that. And so naturally, they just gravitate towards that type of energy and towards that type of person. But a beta is a person that, again, they're not looking to be making the decision making. They're looking to be supporting the decision that was made. They're usually the people that like to be, excuse me real quick, that like the safety net type of stuff. So like, for instance, a beta or a beta personality, usually they don't like to go and try to open their own business or anything like that and put them into a position to where they can absolutely fail. They'll be typically the people that will go and do like your $12, $15, $20 an hour job and stuff like that, because it's a safe type of thing. It's a safe thing. Alphas typically don't do that. The typical alpha doesn't mind failing. They just typically don't mind failing. Just leave it there. Now, they're also usually not confident in themselves, and again, that just goes back to, like I just said, they don't like to fail, and the reason that they don't like to fail is because they're not confident in their abilities. They're confident in the alpha's abilities to be able to get stuff done, and they support them behind them. And again, these are the people that typically run away from the fight. It just all goes hand in hand with what a beta is and what an alpha just simply isn't. And again, it's not saying that one position is better than the other, because honestly, the alpha and the beta, they really need each other to properly function. There's no, you're not going to get two alphas inside of a relationship that are going to work well, and you're not going to get two betas inside of a relationship that will be productive and really work well. Again, from a dynamic standpoint, it's simply just better to have an alpha and have a beta. This isn't saying that one is better than the other. It's just saying that these two they're different roles. Okay. Now, I also do want to touch on that you can have alphas that aren't high value, and you can have betas that are high value, and the such. So that's why I say these terms and everything, they get really misconstrued, because a lot of people will associate alpha male with high value, and those two aren't necessarily the same thing. You could have an alpha male working at McDonald's. Matter of fact, you could have an alpha male working at McDonald's that might actually be in a lower status, as far as like he might be a crew member or she might be a crew member, but in this example I'm going to go with he, because that's typically what it is. He might be a crew member and she might be a manager, but if he's always the one that's making the decisions, if he's always the one that's kind of taking charge, if he's always the one that's kind of leadership, and if he shows those qualities of an alpha, then he's going to naturally get the outcome of an alpha, especially when you're talking about, dating. He's going to be the one that usually gets the girl. It is what it is. And like I said, you also can have high value betas. An example of this, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this, and you probably gonna have your own opinions and stuff on it, would be somebody like Russell Wilson. He, among his male peers, would be looked at as a beta, a person that's of high value, but actually, I don't know if he would actually be considered a beta. I take that back. He might be considered more of a simp, a person that's overvaluing another person and putting that person on a pedestal to keep and gain their attention. So that's a weird thing. Again, I'm not too much of an expert on the whole Russell Wilson situation, so let me not even go into that. I also want to talk about the how alphaness can. Let me take a step back, and we're going to switch over from the confines of a relationship to just kind of like the everyday thing. And the example I'm going to be using is football, because that's something that I know. So I want to talk about these things, this alpha and beta inside of the parameters of football, because there are times to where you can over alpha and screw yourself up. So in football, and in any team sport, but really I'm just going to, again, stick with football. One of the main things you'll learn is that you have to put yourself into a beta mindset of sorts. That doesn't necessarily make you a beta, but you have to put yourself in a beta type of mindset and enter a mode that's called, kind of being coachable. And again, being coachable just simply means being receptive to information and understanding that you simply don't know everything, and that you're not the leader in this paradigm, in the way that stuff is set up. And you'll often have times, not often, but you'll sometimes run into a situation to where, because on that team, the alpha male of that team, the alpha person in that scenario is normally the head coach, because they make the final decisions. They're the ones that make the final decisions, whether you are or are not on the teams. They're the ones that are making the final play calling decisions if it needs to be made, or overruled and stuff like that. They're the ones that are usually doing that. And you need to kind of understand what your role is in order to be truly effective in the outcome of what the team is trying to accomplish, which is ultimately, to win games and stuff. But you'll have that super alpha person that they don't know how to get out of their alpha mentality and get into that beta mentality to where they can be coachable and they can be receptive of information and stuff. And so those are the type of people, for example, like they'll constantly be, arguing with the coach or constantly be second guessing what the coach and stuff is doing. And typically those people get bounced. Now there are times to where, let me think of something else. There are times to where maybe the coach isn't doing their position right, and you'll have a collective of alphas that'll bounce that coach out. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the normal thing. Normally, though, what will usually happen is you'll have that alpha dominant person. They're coming in conflict with the coach, or maybe they're always arguing with the coach and stuff like that. The coach just can't seem to get them on their program, and ultimately that person is bounced out. because they couldn't get out of. They were two alphas, and one alpha simply had more power, and so this person had to leave because it just wasn't going to work. And then just talking about the whole beta thing, and again, I guess I'm just kind of rambling on right here. So just if it seems like it's super random, that's because it is. But the whole beta thing, though, is that, and inside the whole the confines of the whole football thing, the beta people in that sense would be the football players. They all have to be when it comes to the coach. They all have to be. This doesn't mean that you're a beta, but you are in a beta mindset. You have to be because again, you're having to follow their lead. You're having to follow their lead. And that's why I said like I said, the definitions that I'm giving here are like how you are on a daily basis, how you are when you're not a part of a team. Does that make sense? How you are and how you like carry your life and stuff like that. That's what these definitions of stuff are really kind of based around. But again, when you're talking about the alpha and beta mindset, because you'll have people that get into like alpha, beta, sigma, delta, omega, and all that type of stuff. But that's in the confines of like a holistic community and stuff like that. But that's not when we're talking about alpha and beta and stuff like that, especially inside of the manosphere. That's not normally what we're trying to get at. That's not normally what we're talking about. We're usually talking about in the confines and in the situation with women and stuff like that, and trying to get a relationship. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about that alpha and beta mindset. So that's why I brought that up, and then I gave that example of the whole, the football thing. Again, sometimes you have to be in a beta mindset, but that doesn't necessarily make you a beta. That just means that you're understanding, okay, this is the situation that I'm in, this is what I have to do in order to get the ultimate end goal, which is, again, win football games, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to get out, and all I have to say about this. Again, you guys can go through the definitions. Let me know what you guys think and everything like that. Again, these are just kind of how I view the stuff and how I understand the stuff. And again, I know there's more in-depth videos and stuff, but I just wanted to make my own real quick. And yeah. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Remember, rate, comment, subscribe, and I might do another video tonight. I was waiting on to do this morning, but man, this day's been kind of rough on me. I was thinking about doing another video on Kevin Samuels and Tommy Sotomayor, and kind of going on with that situation, but really that might be like a 5 or 10 minute video, because honestly, what I got to say as far as their beef is, I feel like it could be summed up very briefly. Anyway, though, I will check you guys later. Once again, thank you guys for coming. This is Godson Ken. Peace out.